When it comes to DreamWorks animation, a lot of their films tend to really either one, be really perfect and nothing with any sort of the issues, or it tends to be a complete 180 where not a lot of it is that great. But with their recent film, The Wild Robot, things have clearly changed. So how could something like this go to this? That's what we'll be talking about today on Look at Russia Child. When you take a look at DreamWorks' filmography, you'll notice that pretty much a lot of it is consistently inconsistent. What I mean by that is basically they rush a lot of projects into the theaters. Unlike Pixar and Illumination, where Pixar's storytelling is supposed to basically, and emotional themes, is supposed to come first, alongside the animation, and Illumination having the funny humor and the laugh-out-loud jokes that represent the story, DreamWorks is a completely different story, as they tend to have 2 to 3 films per year be released. So basically, ever since the 2010s and the mid to late 2000s, they have been consistently inconsistent. For example, when they had Shrek, they had Shark Tale. When they had, let me think here, Kung Fu Panda, they had Monsters vs. Aliens. I'm not gonna lie, they were decent movies, but at the same time, they weren't DreamWorks quality like they were in the very beginning. And there was a bunch of others. But what I'm trying to specifically say is that at the moment, DreamWorks is really actually starting to listen to fans, and they're actually changing up their styles quite a bit. Take a look at Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, for example. You'll notice that pretty much the realistic features of everything from the past DreamWorks films is completely gone, and they're going for a more artsy style. This is thanks to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, for not having only hybrid animation, but having a complete different style altogether. Another film that took a similar approach was their other 2022 film, The Bad Guys. It went for more of an artsy style, made to look like one of the crime movies back then. And with that made it very successful. Well, not in the box office, but fans loved it. Even though it did modestly well, it really didn't fit the bill. So obviously, of course, DreamWorks decided to make Puss in Boots: The Last Wish in order to fulfill that gap. It didn't make that much as well, but regardless, however, it is still a masterpiece within animation for both of these films. The following years, however, ever since then, have been a dramatic decline, as pretty much there would be a couple of other films, including Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken, Trolls Band Together, the third Trolls film within the franchise. Oh my goodness, why did they make this a trilogy? I do not get it. And then eventually, also, as of this year, DreamWorks' The Wild Robot, an adaptation of the book trilogy. What do I think of it? It is amazing. The Wild Robot is unlike any other DreamWorks film. It goes for more of this brush strokes, painted book art style, rather than just being a simple DreamWorks movie where it's completely telling you the art is telling the story. And it sort of is, but it doesn't try to mess with the themes. The themes are about motherhood and how you could become more than what you were made to be. And I think that's clearly a great message for parents and young kids. And overall, I enjoyed this movie. But like I said, DreamWorks has had a few bumps in the road. As I told you before, there has been a number of movies that were completely okay to just not great. This has been a consistent, inconsistent output, as people say, and I agree with that statement. We went from having the first ever Trolls film, Boss Baby, and then having one of the greatest adaptations ever, Captain Underpants. It really just goes to show you how DreamWorks has a formula of just saying, we're releasing 2 to 3 films per year, or just one film in general, if we don't got time, and we're just gonna do it because why not? And so, therefore, it has become a complete downfall spiral. DreamWorks. However, I do think that there is hope for the future. Yeah, I don't want to talk about Kung Fu Panda 4. I mean, it was okay. It was just... I understand why people were uncomfortable with this film. It wasn't like the first ever trilogy. It wasn't like the first 3 films, and I get it. They want to reintroduce the characters to newer generations and audiences. I understand that, and it's not for everyone's cup of tea, but come on. Regardless, however, it just goes to show you how DreamWorks has and currently is doing things. Unfortunately, it looks as if DreamWorks is planning on having its studio phased out. As I'm sure you're all aware by now, the studio is planning to be moved on over to California, and every material and supply is being shipped there, I believe. I think the reason as to why this is because of the fact that the current CEO and CCO, Chris Meledandri, is also responsible for Illumination. And you can definitely tell why there are some complicated issues with that. Jeffrey Katzenberg, the former CEO of DreamWorks, decided to completely step down from being president of his passion project. Due to the fact that I think since Steven Spielberg and David Geffen, two iconic people for both music and film, basically left Katzenberg on his own. And so with him remaining, and with the acquisition of DreamWorks Animation being moved on over to Universal Pictures, yeah, you could definitely tell the reason as to why he left. It was probably for a good cause. The last year he was working there was 2016. And things are pretty much changing that time. You could definitely tell. But with this year, it's been pretty mixed. Kung Fu Panda 4 was okay, and The Wild Robot was amazing. Their next film, Dogman, I really hope it does well. Honestly. We've waited 7 years for something related to Captain Underpants, and they're finally releasing something. I'm actually hoping it's good, especially considering that The Wild Robot is the last film to be made with DreamWorks in-house. I'm just hoping that this studio just doesn't shut down. I'm actually hoping. Because DreamWorks as of currently, unlike Pixar and Illumination, where they've made $1 billion with some of their films, DreamWorks has yet to make that amount of money. So I'm hoping that, at some point, they're able to make a huge comeback. I mean, we're getting Shrek 5, and I'm already feeling a little mixed, especially when they brought back Kung Fu Panda. So I'm actually hoping, and I'm really and truly crossing my fingers, that they're gonna do justice to this. I am actually hoping. If DreamWorks doesn't, that's fine. But for Dogman, please do not mess this up. You've become faithful with the Captain Underpants series, so be faithful with Dogman. That's all I'm hoping for the future DreamWorks. To be more consistent rather than inconsistent with their library. Because we've seen it before, time and time again. When there's a very good movie, they always ought to have a downward trend of sequels and underperforming originals. So I'm truly hoping that they could do something about it. With the recent release, The Wild Robot, like I've said before, and their upcoming Dogman film on January 31st, 2025. Regardless, however, I hope that DreamWorks gets a change soon. Their output needs it. And I think that they really need help during this time. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.